Welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to see all of you all here. I do see some names and faces that I recognize, so thank you for coming. This is my first Zoom room, so I'm really excited about it. For those of you who I haven't virtually met before, my name is Riche Holmes Grant. I am class of 99, public policy, class of 2002, Columbia Law. I spent my junior year at the London School of Economics, so that was really cool too. So I technically had 3 years at Brown. And I'm currently an entrepreneur in residence. So for those of you who don't know, I have office hours that are starting again next week, every other Thursday. So Fabi will put the link in the chat if there's something that you would like to discuss afterwards, whether it's regarding video production or entrepreneurship or your career or whatever. I'm here. So come see me. Okay, so we're going to get started with the presentation. I've got lots of good stuff today. We are doing video production tips to help you level up your pitches, possibly if you have a YouTube channel, of course you can apply those tips, the tips that we're doing today, to your channel. Anything that involves video, I'm going to help you with today, okay? All right, so let's start with sharing my screen. Okay, and why do I just see okay, I have so many tabs, guys. Okay, hang on one second. Let's see. Fabi, we just went over this, right? Will I be able to control it?
This? Sometimes it happens. You want me to share it for mine?
Will I be able to control it though from yours? That's what I'm worried about.
Well, I can just click whenever you say like click or something.
Hold on. Let's maybe just back out one second. Okay, literally we just went over this, so that's technology for you.
It's been less than 10 minutes since we did all of this. So.
I know, right? This is crazy. I have so many windows open too, so guys, don't judge me. All right, let's see. Oh, this sucks. Is this the one that, no, that's not it. This is the one that I was just in. Okay, Fabi, let's just do that. I don't want to waste any more time. I'm glad I sent that to you, but it was really just open on my screen. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, again, how to level up your video production skills. Don't worry if you have 0 skills. I promise you will leave here today with more than 0. All right, so let's go to the next slide, please. A little bit more about me. So I told you that my concentration was public policy. I went to law school. I'm technically licensed to practice law in 2 states, New York and Maryland, but I do very little law now. In fact, I only do the fun stuff, which means like almost never. I am a content creator. I'm a designer. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a philanthropist, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a home chef that has some awesome recipes published in big magazines like Better Homes and Gardens. So I do a whole lot of stuff, but that really all started after in terms of my work in the lifestyle space and content creation, that really started after I had my daughter and I realized that I couldn't do the same kind of work that I was doing before. And in 2017, backing up a little bit, my daughter and I started a baby gear company when she was 9 months old. And I started blogging just to drive traffic to our website. And through that opportunity, through that venture, I got the opportunity to work with Martha Stewart as a partner to sell our products, but then also to create content for the marthastewart.com website. And so I did that for a few years and then decided to pivot into video. Funny story. A few friends of mine came over for my daughter's birthday party, and they didn't know each other, but at different times during the party, they all said, this was the first time they visited my house, and they said, Riche, you should do video, because my house to them felt like a studio. And I like beautiful spaces. So for me, it was just my house, but for them, they were like, this would be perfect for video. And one of them actually started his career. The big launch for him was a show on Oprah Winfrey's network. So he's a person who, and now he's like a star in the UK. He has this Celebs Go Dating show. Look him up, Paul Brunson. So he was one of my friends who said, Riche, you should absolutely be doing video. Now, I'm a person who grew up painfully shy. I don't even have my voice on my voicemail because I used to hate the sound of my voice. Now it's part of my job, so I have to listen to it. But I had never done video. I didn't even know how to press record on my camera. I had a very nice camera, but I was content with just doing still images. But what I learned in my career is that when multiple people tell you the same thing, that kind of feels out of the blue, it's really not. You should listen. So 6 weeks later, I started my YouTube channel, having zero experience with video or YouTube or anything like that. Bobby, you can go to the next slide and press play for me. This is the trailer for my YouTube channel. Let's make sure we can hear it. I can't hear
web series called The Riche Life. When I was younger, my mom used to always tell me that being rich is not about having money. It's not about how much money you have. What really matters is being rich in spirit. How you live your life, how you treat other people, how you make the best of the time that you have here on earth. I have been incredibly blessed to have so many rich experiences as a mom, as a wife, as an entrepreneur, as a designer, as a maker, as a home chef, as a blogger, and I want to share those experiences with you. You want to mix? Yeah. I want to help you as my fellow moms and entrepreneurs and women. I want to help you create what you define to be your own rich life. And that's different for everyone, and that's the beauty of it. Focus on what you do have, not what you don't, and you take that and run as far as you can with it. My own life has not been perfect by any means. Oh no, I messed that one up. I'm sorry. But I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of fun creating and putting all together the elements that make up my own rich life. And I want to help you do the same thing too. And I hope you subscribe too to stay up to date with all of the latest here at
The Riche Life.
Thank you guys. I'm feeling the love in the chat. I appreciate that. So that was the trailer that I did. I had to do it like some months in after I started my YouTube channel because I didn't have the content. So I had to wait, and then I created that based on how the channel was evolving. What I didn't know is that my most popular content would be my tablescapes. Now, for those of you who don't know what a tablescape is, Bobby, go to the next slide so we can show them what a tablescape is. So this is one of my tables that I did actually for an outdoor party in LA that I was hosting. And so I didn't know that like tablescaping was a big thing on YouTube. I just like designing pretty tables. And so through this opportunity, I got a huge opportunity. Well, this was one of the reasons I got a huge opportunity to host a new makeover series for Real Simple magazine. So Bobby, you can go to the next slide. All of this is to show you guys, I know what I'm talking about. So feel free to ask me any questions you want about video production because I started from nothing. Okay, go ahead.
believe that no outdoor space is too big or too small to be the perfect oasis. This is Outdoor Upgrade.
I'm a nurse in the ICU.
And I'm working in the hospital in the 3rd year.
Once we moved in, my boyfriend John and I both lost our jobs due to COVID.
Kirsten and Gabby have a nice neutral space, but it's sparse and flat. So we need to add height for visual volume.
It's been an adventure, but it's really starting to look amazing out here.
Yes! Oh, look at the fire pit! I am not easily impressed, guys, but you did a fantastic job.
I feel a lot more confident in my DIY skills now that I did that.
Everything that Riche sent, she hit the nail on the head.
We loved your vision. We loved how you brought everything together.
I just want to thank you again. It really meant a lot to both of us.
So that's my new show, and it actually has gone over so well that they have extended it into a whole franchise. So there's outdoor upgrade, but now there's home upgrade, living room upgrade, bedroom upgrade, home office upgrade. And I'm still the host and designer, so that's a really exciting opportunity for me that I'm loving. It's not easy, but I love it, and I film right here from my studio. So I'm going to show you actually what that looks like on the other side shortly. So Bobby, you can go to the next slide. Okay, so now that you know that I know what I'm talking about, I want to share with you a case study. This is a pitch that actually I did last summer for Home Depot. Many of us know it as Home Depot. It's technically the Home Depot. So since I'm a partner with them, I'll use the official name, the Home Depot. My daughter and I pitched a video. We did a video pitch for a competition that they have called Orange Tank at a DIY conference. And this is a conference that I'd never attended. I'd never pitched any sort of DIY projects. I mean, I honestly, before last year, never really thought of myself as like a big home DIYer. I mean, I would do like craft projects, but that was pretty much the extent of what I was sharing with my DIY, or the extent of what I did in my DIY work. I always have a vision, but I usually have someone else do it. So I had this opportunity, and I had pitched at other competitions before and gotten really close, but like runner-up or something, but I'd never actually won a pitch competition. So I took everything that I learned before and I put that in this 1 minute, 30-second video. So I want to show that to you, and I want to use that as a case study. And I want us to think about a few things as we're looking at it. One, I want you to think about after you, or as you're watching it, what did you see? Okay. It's only 1 minute and 30 seconds, so it's not that long. What did you hear? Okay, because these are going to be the key things that you're going to be thinking about when you do your videos, your pitches, the content. What did you learn? Okay, and then emotion. How did you feel? All right, because a lot of times I've seen so many different pitches, especially now that I'm an entrepreneur in residence, and I see people who have great ideas, but I don't feel anything from their pitches. That I'm not connected to the person behind the vision. And that's so big for so many reasons. Oftentimes, I've seen people who don't even have their idea fully fleshed out, but they're so passionate about what they're doing that the people behind the table who give out the money are willing to take a chance on them because they believe in that person. Okay, so I don't want you to be intimidated if you don't have your whole idea fleshed out, if you don't have your MVP ready. I mean, I have seen it all, and I have seen people come from behind the 8 ball with the kind of emotion that they can evoke during their pitches. So keep that in mind. All right, Fabi, you can go to the next slide and we'll watch the case study. Oh, it's 2 minutes. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Richie, host of the Riche Life web series.
Hi, I'm Miley, her boss.
Oh no, I messed that one up. I'm sorry.
Cool.
I'm sorry.
Oh, table.
I know. Table scape.
You need to
tour.
do that part. You need to do that.
Okay. All right. Can we start again? Yeah, that's right. She's my boss, and we're in our office. Yes, we love this space. I've got my own place to work. Riley has her own place to work.
But there's only just one problem, our closet.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And why is it pretty bad?
Because it's not organized.
Yeah, we've got a lot of books and a lot of stuff that we've just stuffed in the closet. So that's where you come in.
Yep, and you save the day by giving us the money to basically make a closet library.
Yes, our vision is to create a closet library that has an industrial chic look that goes really well with our existing look. Our goal is to create the look using peel and stick wallpaper that looks just like exposed brick, and we're going to use wooden planks, stained wooden planks, as the bookshelves supported by decorative plumbing pipes. What do you think about that?
I think it's really cool, and I like how it's like a little bit of fancy and a little bit of regular, and then mix it together modern. Booyah.
Booyah. So we're going to put it all together using these materials. And guess what?
What?
We're going to use some really cool tools on the Home Depot mobile app, like the wallpaper calculator, to make sure we get exactly the right amount of wallpaper. We're going to use the online shopping feature where we can purchase our items online and then pick them up in the store. Yep, so that saves us a lot of time, so we can come back and work on our project. So all we need now is
The money from you.
thank you.
Bye.
All right, thanks, Fabi. You can take it off share for a second. So we won there were like a few categories. And remember, I told you this is like my first DIY competition. So I entered the lowest category, but we won. And then through that, we were offered other opportunities, like some really big opportunities with the Home Depot. And they just recently hired me to be an ambassador for them at the same conference this year. So that was amazing. I wasn't expecting that, but we were able to develop this ongoing relationship with them, starting with that pitch. So I just want to take a moment to get some observations. We're talking about what did we see, what did we hear, what did we learn, and how did we feel? Anyone want to jump in here? Let's see, gallery view, let's see. I only see a few faces. So you are welcome to turn your cameras on or leave them off, but I love to see you if you're able to. But does anyone want to jump in, even in the chat, to just give me a couple of observations, because this is the kind of information we're going to use to for our own pitches, to kind of talk about what we need, what elements we need to have as well. Okay, Whitney, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to call on you because like I know your face, I know your name, so like this is law school, Socratic method. Let's go. What'd you think?
I loved it. It was so polished, but it also felt like personable. So I could hear like your daughter's playfulness and you building off of that, and also the interest in like a real problem that you all were facing, and showing a little bit of the disorganization. And I love the ways that you built in, like almost strategically, like the other way. You didn't just give a pitch, you understood their company. And so I thought it tied in so many different elements that I was like, oh, it's convenient. Like you built in convenience, you built in strategy and fun, and like the real relationship that you all have. That was really clear.
Thank you. Thank you. Seriously, I've never met Whitney in real life, but I appreciate you for jumping in. That's exactly what I was looking for. The biggest thing for me was, okay, I'd done other pitch competitions. What did I miss? What could I improve on? Right. So the biggest thing was, one, know what they're looking for. So when you talk about tying in the information about the company, the convenience, they said that they wanted us to incorporate some of their features. And so I picked those two. And that's important. When they specifically say they want certain things, give that back to them in your pitch. Don't just kind of shy away from that. Embrace it. And then embrace your wow factor. Like I could have done it myself, but Riley is my wow factor. She steals the show every single time. And so I just pulled out all the stops. I was like, okay, we're going to do this. It was like the middle of the night, but we have good light. So you didn't know. We were literally like in front of the closet. I'll have to show you guys. I should have done this, the finished look, but it's so amazing. It's like one of my favorite places in the house. But we did that and we had fun with it. And you can see in the editing, we went back to show the audience exactly what we were talking about. We added some music to make it fun. But overall, we made it for that particular audience. This is not a pitch that I would do for another type of company, but it worked for that competition. It worked for the audience that was at the conference as well. And so that's why they want to continue to work with us, because from the very beginning, we made a solid impression. Okay. We weren't like pitching like this super big project. It was really simple, but we packed a lot in that 2 minutes, 30 seconds. All right. Thank you for that, Whitney. So Fabi, we're going to go to the next slide. I want to make sure that we have room for lots of questions. So I'm going to go through the rest of the slides fairly quickly, but hopefully not too quickly so that you miss anything. This will be recorded, so you'll have access to it afterwards if you want to go back and look at some things. Okay, so whenever you're ready, we'll share the next slide after the the case study. That's okay. Take your time. Okay. So studio basics. I'm saying studio, but I'm using the term really loosely, okay? Everyone has access to a studio of some sort. In fact, in our house, we call like the different rooms that I film in Studio A, Studio B, Studio C. Were we thinking that when we moved in? No, but this is our life now. And actually, I made my husband be a part of one of the Home Depot videos we did for smart home products. So now our home is like super smart thanks to the Home Depot. But for your purposes, your studio can be your bedroom, it can be your living room, it can be your kitchen. But the trick is you want to create an image for your audience that doesn't look like you're filming from your kitchen or your bedroom. You want to play with the eye. And so, Fabi, we can go to the next slide. So the first thing I want you guys to think about is your lighting, okay? Now, we are talking about, for the most part, video recordings, but also when you're doing events like this, lighting is so important as well. I actually have set up my studio as if I'm recording. I want to give you guys the effect, of course, but that's important when you're on a regular Zoom call, of course, your lighting. So natural light, it's great to be in a room with lots of natural light. That's always, I think, easiest to work with, but you want to make sure that the light is in front of you, not in back of you, because you'll get all sorts of crazy things going on with the camera. But if you don't have great lighting, artificial lighting, that's what I've got going on here. My room that I'm in, you'll see it doesn't have that much natural light, but you can make it feel like it has lots of natural light. And I don't have the lights turned up all the way even now. Or you can use, so I have 3 kind of big lights, but ring lights are great. I don't use a ring light, but there's so many out there now, especially in the days of COVID. So if you just do a simple Google search, Amazon, whatever, I'm sure you can find one with good reviews. But lighting is so important. So make sure that you think about that, and you don't have to invest a lot of money to get good lighting. Okay, even something to clip on your laptop. Your backdrop or background. That is so important. When you are presenting yourself in front of an audience, you want them to focus on you and not your background. So you don't want a background that's going to be too distracting or cluttered. I kind of have it set up so that when you see my background, it's a little bit blurred out, but I'm a designer, so people, they like to see me kind of in my element. So that's what I have here. But if I didn't want to show this background, I would use just a really simple backdrop. A white wall is always like the most basic, but you can actually make it look a little nicer with good lighting, which is what we did in the video. If you don't have access to a nice, clean, empty white wall, then certainly make sure that whatever you have going on in the background is not cluttered. You don't want it to be a distraction. Oh goodness. Okay. Wait. Oh, I was going to say, wait, did something happen? Can you guys see me? Okay. I don't know what happened. All right. So that's backdrop. And then your wardrobe. You want to think about what you're wearing, right? Keep it simple. We're not talking about a lot of stripes or distracting patterns. Certainly bring your personality to whatever it is you're doing, but you want, again, the people to focus on the content, not what you're wearing. So if you need to throw an iron on, and I'm not a person who's big on irons, but if you need to throw an iron on a shirt, do it, because things that don't seem like glaring in person are often really magnified on camera. So think about that. Nail polish, if you wear nail polish, make sure that, and if you're showing your hands, make sure it's not chipped, okay? Make sure you just take some time to either take it off or put another coat on, okay? Because it's little things like that can be distractions, right? So I want to do a little something. Fabi has agreed to help me with this. We're going to do a little show, since I'm in the makeover world now. We're going to do a little game. I said show, but we're going to do a little game called Fix My Backdrop. So Fabi, if you can show us all what you look like right now, where you are, spotlight yourself for us. Okay, and take yourself off mute so we can hear your beautiful voice.
Hello, everyone.
So this is Fabi. Where are you right now?
I am in my room.
Okay, now the first thing I notice about your room is that it's pretty dark.
It is pretty dark, yes.
Okay, it is pretty dark. I also see, if I'm looking closely, that's your bed, right?
That is my bed, yes.
I'm gonna sound like the true mom I am. Did you make up your bed today?
I did.
You did?
I was using my blanket, so not really.
Oh, okay. So I see that, okay? That is something that a person might notice, okay? Now, how can we fix let's go back to the lighting. How can we fix your lighting? Do you have any other lighting sources in your bedroom?
I have a window right behind my computer.
Okay, so can we
open that up?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, does everybody see the difference? Wow, okay. So we've got more light, but I still feel like we've got kind of a lot going on. So one of the things you can do if you don't have access to like a nice, clean, like not cluttered space, you can always do a green screen. Now on Zoom, it's really simple because you just have that function. But if you're recording, then the simplest way is actually, if you really don't have a background that you can show, is just to invest in like a green screen. Like you can totally DIY this, super simple. It's literally like can be green construction paper that you put behind you, and you can edit in a background. I use my editors, my first team of editors. I got them from Fiverr.com. So you do not have to invest a lot of money in getting a simple edit made like that. But it is about presentation. We're very visual beings. Okay, so you want to make sure that when you are doing a video that people, again, are not distracted by what's going on behind you. Okay. So thank you. Now, can we see what it looks like if you can you put a screen on for us? Oh, see, I'm not distracted. All I see is your face, and all I'm going to focus on is what you're saying during your pitch. Does everybody see that? Okay. Thank you. All right, so now we can go back to sharing the screen. I'm going to check the time. Okay, 12:30. All right. So next screen. Okay. Thank you again, Fabi, for participating in this week's episode of Fix My Backdrop.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, essential equipment. All right, so I also have a list of resources and things that I use at the end. You do not have to, and we'll make sure you get the slides. You do not have to have, you can go to the next slide, Fabi. You do not have to have a fancy camera, but you do need to have a decent smartphone if you don't, okay? Lights, we talked about whether you're using great natural light or whether you need to add on some artificial light. Make sure you have that taken care of before you start recording, like for real, what you're going to send, okay? Got your backdrop, we talked about that. The camera I use right now, you're looking at me through my DSLR, which I use as my webcam. I also use this to, well, my webcam when I'm feeling fancy and my studio is set up. It was set up from the shoot yesterday, so I left it up for you guys. But I would have put it up anyway for you because I love brown. But if you're not using a DSLR, which most people aren't for these types of things, use your smartphone. Make sure you have a tripod. These are like little tripods, tabletop ones that I have that serve all sorts of different functions. I have like this one really cool one that I attach here, and then it's kind of has a long arm, and I can use that when I'm doing like Instagram lives. So tripods serve multiple functions, so you can get whatever one works for you. Most times that you will be submitting videos, most people will ask for a horizontal orientation. So make sure that you remember that when you are doing your filming. Okay, you don't want to be the person with the black boxes. Okay, and then what else do we have? Your microphone. Okay, now if you're using a smartphone, obviously, you know, you've got the built-in mic, but sometimes your audio can be a little bit tricky depending on where you're filming. So maybe maybe it's really loud in the background. Maybe you're just getting maybe it's just not as clear. So one of the things that I use, this was my first mic. This is a lav mic by Rode, R-O-D-E. And it actually plugs into my phone. And I have an app, it's called Voice Record. It's a really great app. I put that in the resources too. And I can just record my audio on here. It gets a little tricky if you're actually using your cell phone. So perhaps if you have another device, a tablet, iPad or something like that, you can use that to record your audio only if you need to, only if you notice that there's an issue with your audio. And then you would lay the audio tracks over the video. I personally, like, I know what I need to get done, but I don't want to invest the time to like learn how to do this stuff. So I always use my editors. Like I said, Fiverr is great. You can get things like this done for like $5-10. Okay. So I'm not talking about spending a whole lot of money, just finding someone who can do it for you so you don't have to do it yourself. Although if you are familiar with something like iMovie, it's pretty simple to do that, but this is a pretty easy fix if you need just a basic mic. This is the mic right here that I use when I'm doing things like this. And then I also have, wait, where is it? I'm gonna show you guys the mic that I use. Hold on. Okay. It's actually got two parts. This is, this part connects to my camera. And then there's another part that has a smaller box like this and a mic like this that I use, and I just clip it on. And this is what I use when I record my episodes for my show, as well as Real Simple. But you don't need anything like that. Okay. So that's your basic equipment. You've got to have some good lighting. You've got to have a good backdrop, and good, again, is relative. Work with what you have, but make it look as great as you can. Okay. Your camera, your tripod, super simple, something to prop your camera on so you don't have to worry about that. And then your microphone, whether it's built in or whether you need to get an external mic, is dependent on your circumstances. Okay, next slide. All right. Oh, that's the wrong title up there. That's totally my fault. Ignore that. So this is where I am right now. This is my studio. So I'm sitting in the stool right now. There's tape on the floor because that lets me know, like, if I'm doing a live news segment, the red tape is where I stand. And then the gray tape, the duct tape, is where I need to place my chair when I'm doing something like this. And then I have the screen to show me what's going on so I can actually see you guys. And then I'm looking directly at the camera right now. So now I'm looking at the screen, and now I'm looking at the camera. I'm literally just staring into the camera lens. I can't see anything else but that. So that's important too, because when you are filming, that's where you want to look. Okay, you always want to make sure that you maintain eye contact, even if it's like in a weird place. You know, when people are doing selfies, it's like, oh, where do we look? Where do we look? Always make sure that you know where to look, because the worst thing is when you're looking at a video and someone's looking over here and they should be looking right here, right? So I don't want anyone who attended this to submit any pitches and you're looking the wrong way, okay? So that is key. All right, and then this is my lighting setup. You can see I've got 3 configured here to give me kind of like the best lighting from all different angles. Fabi, you can go to the next slide. Oh, it looks like I'm using diffusers. Yeah, they're light boxes, soft boxes. I got them from Amazon. I think the set was like $200 when I got it, maybe 4 years ago, and they're great. I love them. They have different settings. I can make it brighter. I also can play with my camera because it's a DSLR, so I don't actually. And you know what? I took some photos this morning. I don't even know if I reset the settings, but that's okay, because I think it looks okay on screen now. But yeah, the lights are here to help, but I can also adjust things with my camera. And so this is just from another angle, but you can see kind of how the setup is. You do not need all of this. I need this for what I do, but at minimum, if you need artificial light, look at ring lights as an option. But remember, I just actually started wearing glasses. Remember though, you have to, this hasn't been an issue for me because I don't have a ring light, but be careful about, and I don't know the answer to this, but I see a lot of people using ring lights, and you can actually see kind of like the ring lights in their glasses. So if you wear glasses and you want to use a ring light, make sure you find some kind of hack to fix that. I know that they're out there, okay? But again, don't say that you attended my workshop and then I see your pitch and I can see the ring light in your glasses, okay? All right, next slide, Fabi. Okay, so this is how a video looks when I'm actually filming. I'm talking to someone, but I'm literally not looking at her. I'm looking directly at the screen, at the lens. Okay, you can push play, Bobby. Can we see the whole thing? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
girl, you have worked some magic out here.
I can't wait to see what you have put together.
All right, let's go. And we have the dining area.
Oh my goodness, Dia, that's gorgeous.
I am so impressed with your vision, how it has just come to life.
You know, you insisted on having wooden furniture, and I'm so happy that you did. This set is beautiful.
It feels just like me, really, and what I want my space to look and feel like.
Okay, Fabi, you can cut it. Okay, so that's on YouTube, on Real Simple's YouTube channel if you want to watch the rest. But what I wanted to show you is kind of all the things that I talked about, like how it actually looks on screen. So in that case, we were on a web call, but I was looking at my lens, she was looking at her lens. Like we never actually saw each other unless we looked down. You can't really do that because people will notice that. So it's a weird thing to get used to, but I wanted to point that out to you and kind of show you how the lighting actually looks on a real recording, okay? All right, we can go to the next
Yeah,
slide.
girl, you.
Okay. All right, so I want to go through these quickly, and then I want to go through our Q&A, and I'll take as much time as we need on those, so don't feel like I'm rushing to this and then I won't answer your questions. I will. Content and presence. Now, we talked about your video, we talked about your audio, so how things look and how they sound. Now we want to talk about what you're actually talking about, okay? And then how you connect with your audience. Bobby, you can go to the next slide. Okay, so content-wise, when you're doing a pitch, I always recommend fully writing out your script. Now, the script is going to be different from what you would write if you, like, usually pitch competitions will have a written portion and then you'll have to submit your video, right? So the script is different because it should feel more natural as in how you actually talk. But the thing about writing it out is that once you write it out, it starts to become embedded in your brain, okay? And the more you read it, the more it becomes comfortable to you so that you don't have to feel like you need an actual script or a teleprompter or anything like that in front of you. You've actually practiced it enough so that it feels natural. You've changed some words. Oh, this isn't something I would say. I'd probably say it like that. Or I want to add a little bit of this here, a little bit of that here, because no one wants to watch your pitch and it sound like you're reading, okay? I say write it out because there are key points you want to make sure you get in. Once you write it out, then you can say, okay, I'm just going to move to bullets, all right? And then once you move to bullets, then you practice that enough, and then pretty much you've got it. If this is something that you've been working on for, you know, usually people are working on these things for months at a time in terms of their ventures that they want to present. You are the expert. You're the best person. So really the script is just so that you don't forget anything. You put in all the elements, but I always say write it all out, practice it enough until you're comfortable, until it doesn't sound like you're reading, and then you don't have to read, okay? You don't have to actually have a script there because you want it to be natural, okay? And then when you're creating your script, when you're creating your content that you want to share, make sure that you are catering to your audience. I've seen so many pitches where I am so confused because I have no idea, and I'm a fairly smart person. I have no idea what the person is talking about because they're not explaining it in kindergarten proof terms. Like if it's super scientific or what have you, you need to make sure that you're explaining it in such a way that the average person can understand it and it makes sense to them, okay? Visuals. I am so big on including visuals in pitches. I've seen pitches that may not even be that strong in terms of like what they're presenting, but the visuals are so hot that I remember, wow, that was a really cool pitch the way they did it. I think they need more work on the venture, but you want to, again, we're very visual people. So in the case study, you saw that we put in the visuals. I didn't just say that we were going to do these types of use these types of materials. I actually showed you, and I didn't use a static image. I used a dynamic image. It was moving. So little things like that make a really big difference when you're presenting information that you want your audience to absorb and retain. Okay. And then your special sauce. Like, I don't care who you are. You have a special sauce that no one else has. It's your wow factor. So for me, I knew for that Home Depot competition, no one else had a Riley. Okay. She was my special sauce. And our interaction is just so natural and organic that we really played that up. And people remember her. In fact, when I was approached by the Home Depot to be an ambassador this year, they were like, hey, Riche, hope you're doing well. Hope Mini Boss is doing well. And I know she's still running the world. That's her hashtag on social media, but people remember that, okay? So think about, what is your special sauce? What can you pour all over this pitch that no one else has? And if nothing else, they will remember you, okay? And that's that goes a long way, because sometimes even if I see a pitch and it's not strong enough to, maybe it's a competition, it's not strong enough to move to the next round. If I see something in that pitch that moves me, if I see like a special sauce that I'm really interested in, I will reach out to that person afterwards and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about maybe how you can work on some things to get better for the next time. Okay. So think about what your special sauce is. And thank you, Fabi, we can go. On camera presence, energy. No one wants to be bored by your pitch. I don't care if it's 30 seconds, if it's a minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 5 minutes. No one wants to be bored, okay? Because we start to lose attention. We already have so many distractions in the world. You want to make sure that you are captivating your audience. You want to have their full attention, and you've got to bring your energy, and it has to be more animated than your normal everyday talking, because it translates differently on camera. Okay. So when you talk to me, like in my regular life, like I'm not going to be the, oh my gosh, Dia, I love that. Like I have to do that for the camera. Okay. And not to say that you have to have the same energy level that I do, but you do have to dial it up so that at least people feel like you actually are interested too, and you want to be there. Okay. You want to keep their attention. Eye contact, again, we talked about that, looking right into the lens. That takes some practice, but once you do it, it's like second nature. Facial expressions, okay. If you feel like, and the best way to test this is just to record yourself on camera and just look at how you look talking, okay. And sometimes, like, I realized that when I'm like really deep in thought, when someone's asking me like a question on the show and it's like a really hard DIY question, like I get really serious, like I'm answering a professor in class. And I noticed that. So now I have to work on smiling more so people won't think, oh my gosh, she's so serious. Like it's not that deep. So record yourself, see how you look, and make adjustments. I have to treat myself honestly like a client. Like I have to critique myself like I would a client. Otherwise, it just is so hard. Like no one wants to do that, like pick apart all your flaws. But if you kind of take yourself out of it and say, you know what, she could improve on this, she could improve on this, it makes the process a little easier. Your posture, you always want to make sure that you're sitting up straight, you're not slouching. Like we'd love to introduce you to our new product that helps people do their laundry faster. I mean, you feel the difference in the energy, right? So I'm sitting up, okay, and I've got energy, I'm smiling, like all of this makes a difference. Hand gestures, I had to work on this a lot in the beginning. I'm still a work in progress, but be careful when you use your hands that you're using them strategically, that you're not like overusing them, like, so that it becomes a distraction. Your cadence, how you vary your tone, okay? You want to emphasize certain words, bring expression to other words, bring it down sometimes if you need to, depending on what you're presenting and depending on your audience. Again, the case study, we were bubbly, we were energetic. We had to move very quickly though, and that's speed because we only had 2 minutes, 30 seconds. So you wanna make sure that you're somewhere between keeping it interesting, but then not talking too quickly so that your audience misses something. All right. Next slide. I think that is it for content. Yes. These are my resources. You can take a screenshot if you want now, or we will make sure that you get the slides afterwards. So either way is fine. But I want to open up the floor to questions in our last 10 minutes or so.
Richie, there was a question in the chat earlier from Janice Jens. She says it looks like you're using different diffusers. Can you explain how and when to use them?
So yeah, they are essentially, it's just, I'll move this one over. It really is just a light box that I don't actually, like, this is different. Like it has 3 different levels of brightness here from the back that I'm controlling. That's about as much that I can do. And I just really literally just record and then just see what it looks like. And then this is just like another kind of light inside. I never take this thing off, but there's a light bulb behind this other filter here. But I think it just depends on the lighting of your room and what you, and then what camera you're using too, as far as like how you manipulate the lights. I hope that answers the question. Sometimes I notice like I have to adjust them because things in the background might like reflect the light a certain way. But usually I'm able to control that because I'm only shooting in locations for the most part that I'm already familiar with in terms of like how they'll look on camera. Anything else?
We have a hand up from Brandon. Brandon, you want to?
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Richie. Yeah, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I was just wondering, like, I imagine like a big challenge of being an online influencer is just acquiring that audience, like finding your niche to watch you, especially since like everyone has access to YouTube. Like, so how do you find those people? Like, how do you like, and like, because I'm sure like there's some people who like it's difficult for them to get discovered by like the audience they're searching for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for me, I started just thinking about like what my end goal was. Like I never wanted to be a huge YouTuber with like millions of fans, only because it takes a lot of work. I knew that my end goal was to get to, and I shouldn't say end because I'm not at the end yet, but I wanted to work with brands like I'm working with now, and still, they would do like the bulk of the work. I just had to spit out the content. So I was just very strategic about not necessarily worrying about the size of my audience at first, but just producing the very best content. But but size does matter, but it doesn't matter to the extent that I think a lot of us think, because there are people who have like hundreds of thousands of followers more than I do and don't have the same opportunities. But I know that without a doubt that I'm spitting out great content. So that makes a difference. But in the beginning, I just literally like told all my friends, sent emails and like, hey, I have this new YouTube show, please watch. I mean, it was literally like, it was like that. And it was like, please share. And I would share in different places and I would get creative with clips and sneak peeks. And then I started bringing on guests so that they could then share with their audiences. And one really big interview was a friend of mine who is a central character now on a show on HBO called Insecure. And so that was great because that like brought a whole new crop of people, but I just used the resources I had to bring in different audiences, different people, and it just kept growing from there. And then I started to kind of notice a trend as far as like what people were watching, which is why I said tablescaping is my biggest content, because it is. And then I started to do more of that, and then that brought in more people as well. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but I think the best advice is just to stick with it and be consistent, and your audience will come. There's an audience out there for everything.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Anything else? Any other questions? Feel free, again, if you don't want to ask a question here, that's okay. Fabi is going to, if she hasn't already, put my office hours link in the chat, and I'm happy to help if you are about to pitch something, or you are contemplating starting a YouTube channel or what have you, and you want some help with that, a critique, I'm happy to help. So just let me know. As entrepreneurs, there's a question. Any advice to think about our branding for our companies versus our personal lives as entrepreneurs? So I think depending on what kind of company you're talking about. So my first venture was an educational services company. And it was interesting. So I focused a lot on branding the company, and until I met a branding coach, and she was like, you should focus more on your story. Like, people want to know more about you. And I thought that was really interesting, because I thought the company spoke for itself. Like, we got to a point where we didn't even have to market, because people were just like word of mouth. It was just, we had more business than we could handle. But it just depends on the business. And sometimes it's not a bad thing to be the person behind the brand, because people really connect with stories. But I think in terms of companies versus individuals, your company does have a personality of its own, just like we have our own personalities. And so you have to really drill down on what that is, and then and then create your company story, your brand story around that. Consistency is really big too. Like, there's certain things that people who know me know that they're never there, to expect certain things to come from me. The same thing about your own company. It's so funny. I had to pick up something from Walmart yesterday, and I took Riley, my daughter, with me. And so we usually go to Target, is like our thing, my happy place. And so she was picking up on some of the branding differences, things like the lighting. The lighting is so different at Target than it is at Walmart. And so, there's a playful spirit about Target. Like, all of that is by design, right? It's not by accident, it's on purpose. So you really have to take some time to think about how you want your brand presented to the world, and look at it again like you would your own personality, if they're two kind of distinct things. But Whitney, I'm also happy to talk more in detail with you too, because you got a special prize today for answering the question when I called on you. So we can do that in detail anytime you want. All right, any other questions? We've got like 4 more minutes. Okay, well, if we don't have any other questions, I think we can break. Fabi? Oh, goodness. Did you guys lose me again? Okay. I have no idea what's going on right now with my camera, so my apologies, but let's go ahead and break before anything else happens. Thank you all for coming today. I hope that you learned something. I hope that you do take me up on my offer. If you have any questions, to just reach out and show me your stuff. Feel free. I'm on Instagram at all things Riche, R-I-C-H-E. And thank you guys. I'm seeing the love in the chat. And Facebook, all things Riche as well. And YouTube, the Riche Life, R-I-C-H-E.